Very good. Thank you, Terry. Good evening. Welcome to the April meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29th, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Beals.
Here.
Very good, Tom. Thank you. Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vincent Vignali.
Here.
Terry Underwood. Terry, you with us? Just muted. I know you're there. Okay,
Here.
very good. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Some business rules. For presenters and or applicants on the agenda, the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by a roll call. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call them each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded and will be available for viewing via the Northborough Remote Meetings tab on the town's website. Let's see. Justin, do you happen to have the legal notice in front of you?
Yes.
Can you, because Diane's not here, can you cover that?
Yeah, sure.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Let's see. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and or the Northborough Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. A notice of intent for Bartlett Pond, map 65 and 66, parcels 99 and 1, owned by the town of Northborough to control the growth of non-native aquatic plants in Bartlett Pond from 2024 through 2026 using US EPA certified methods and herbicides. The work will occur on the pond with access via Watson Park boat ramp. And a notice of intent for 289 Lyman Street, map 86, parcel 2, for work requested by the town of Westboro on land owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance, DCAM, to construct a stormwater drainage discharge system. That work will occur within the 25-foot no disturb buffer and the 100-foot wetland buffer zone.
Great, thanks, Justin.
Yep.
First item here, let's run through the meeting minutes and get rid of those if we can. Pretty good number. We had a lot of discussions last month here, captured very well again. Any questions, comments, concerns on meeting minutes? No, large is shaking head. So then we need a motion to accept.
Move to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dan. Roll call. Tom Beals. Oh, Tom, you were not here last month, though, right? You need to recuse. Sorry. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Going to move around a little bit here on the request of Vinny. Laurie Connors, are you with us here? I don't see Laurie here yet, Vinny.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and move forward. How's that?
Okay. I will text
First
him.
item up here. Continuation of stormwater management and land disturbance permit for 311 Crawford Street. Let's see, who do we have for that? I've got Mr. Bondi. I'll bring you in. Okay, Mark also. Okay, you both should be coming in here.
Good
Hi,
message.
for having us.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Mr. Bondi is coming in here momentarily. At least that's the plan.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Hello,
Yes.
Oh,
Mr. Bondi?
yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you. Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a continuation from the last couple of months. I believe last time we met, there were a couple of open items, mostly regarding discussions with DPW around storm water on the street. Any update?
Yes. I don't know if you want to walk through the history on this, but I think we covered it last meeting. We had started out with, can folks see my screen?
Yes.
Sorry about that. So we had started out with, here's the original plan that we had first submitted. And through the filing process, we've gone through several iterations, and we now have, a much more intensive stormwater control system here. Just to remind folks, we've added this stone trench at the base of the driveway that feeds 2 different water quality units for treatment. Those discharge to a level spreader and a stabilized slope. This discharges to a small settling pool down at the bottom. All the roof water is handled with infiltration devices in the front yard, in the fill, and we have the septic system in the rear. And we are mitigating peak attenuation rates or peak flow rates off the site. So the post is lesser than the pre-development. Right now, everything runs from west to east down this hill towards Crawford Road. We talked last time with a little bit of detail in that this existing driveway to the south is the old driveway that goes to the house that was demolished up in here. And the applicant at one point in time had started driveway construction just to the north of that. So there is an excavation there that will ultimately be similar to what we're proposing just to the north. So last meeting, we went through this in detail, and if you'd like me to go through any of that further, I certainly can, but I didn't want to take up too much of the commission's time.
Mark, this is the same thing we saw last month, correct?
Yes, and then we had discussed the waivers that were being requested, and as we left it, we were going to go back to DPW because we still had not applied for a driveway permit.
Right.
They did have a driveway permit previously, back in, I don't see the date on this quickly, back in September 20th of 2022. That since expired in March of 2023. We did go back and their contractor refiled for a driveway permit.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're still in discussion with DPW, and DPW is of the stance that no water should be discharged onto Crawford Street. But we're here before you tonight because we are looking to hopefully close out this land disturbance process with the expectation that any work done in Crawford Street to catch or transport any drainage or stormwater would be off-site and not part of the work on the parcel anyway. So as we work with DPW, we would like to kind of close out this permit process and be moving in the right direction, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know if the commission would be willing or if we should continue on with continuing this.
Well, it seems like a pretty big open item to address still, in my opinion here. Vinny, where were you on this one?
Yeah, I was thinking we were going to get something before the meeting and be able to at least review things and kind of move forward. But right now, I would just say we continue it because it's been going on for 9 months or so anyway. Let's continue on and move to wherever Scott, the DPW director, gives for direction. Then we can both follow the same line.
I mean, we certainly don't want to get denied, but the applicant does want to try and close out this process that's dragged out so much. The last correspondence we have back from Scott was that driveway cannot discharge stormwater directly into the public roadway. And I believe, the review has stopped here. So I think the intent is that if we do need to do improvements in the road, we would be back before you with a different filing, assuming it may be in your jurisdiction, if we have to go down to that stream to the south, the intermittent stream to the south.
Yeah, well, our jurisdiction is for over an acre of alteration, and you've got that. And this would just enlarge it, not by very much, but it's still all the same permit. So I don't see why we wouldn't just continue this and wait till we move forward.
I was just thinking it would be under your jurisdiction because it would be within 100 feet of the intermittent stream. But ultimately, I don't know that it would be the same as this application or project because it is all off-site and no longer on the property. So we were hoping to just close out and permit the work on the property at this point in time.
Well, I'm not sure how we can separate the two, that open item with DPW and closing it out. What's the rest of the commission? Thoughts, concerns, comments?
And I would say, Mr. Chairman, it is two different permit processes. So that's why we're looking to hopefully close this one out.
The second permit process being what? A wetlands protection permit?
No, a driveway opening permit, a roadway opening permit. I believe it's titled. This is the document. This is a printout from the online permit system here. Street opening permit.
Well, I know that from last time you guys have made a lot of progress in terms of redesigning and so forth. And I think some of the comments were that was recognized. This to me seems like a pretty big open item still on that one. I'm not sure how I feel about approving half and still having that open piece, but I could be convinced here. Comments from the commission, questions?
I thought we left it last time. We were waiting for, is that the final decision from the town DPW that it's not allowed?
Based on what I've seen, Vinny.
The last I heard is we were looking at drainage to pick up the runoff to go to the south to the intermittent stream, about 500 feet of drainage in the street. I think there may be an option to the north if we can somehow get a drain or a French drain in the gutter to go to the north, but we're fighting steep slopes, utility poles, and fire hydrants on that side of the road. So we envision it might take some time to work through a solution in the street, but we're viewing it as off-site, off-property, and we're at least looking to permit the on-property work at this point.
Yeah, the trouble with that is that this permit is for all work associated with the development of a project. So whether it's on the site or within the street, this includes all, like if you needed to build an access road on someone else's property, if you needed to have storage, staging areas off the site, those are all typically included in this. So the work in Crawford Street would still be associated with this permit. This is like a construction general permit, so it covers everything to build what you want to build.
Okay. Any more questions or comments from the commission here?
Mark, what do you think, what's left to dealing with Scott? Just trying to figure out a solution there with him, or just hard to kind of get his attention over the last month, or?
I don't know. There's a pretty hard stance that no water can discharge into Crawford, but we're taking the stance that we are mitigating peak rates, and the post-construction is not zero, but it's lesser than the pre-construction. So we're still kind of in the midst of those discussions, but it's certainly dragged out, and we're just looking to gain a little bit of ground on permitting this lot. I think anything we do in Crawford won't impact the work on the site, and if for some reason it does, we understand that we'll be back in front of the commission with either a new filing or a project change. But we're kind of caught in this circle of revisions and permitting. So we're at least just trying to get across the finish line somewhere in the front.
I mean, I can see how the two are linked, certainly. I mean, it's kind of, one project, one contractor, one order essentially at the end, hopefully. And, who knows, if you do have to permit within the wetlands jurisdiction, obviously, you'd have to file then under a notice of intent. So, I mean, I feel like they're a little bit connected. I mean, I think you've got at least the pulse of the commission that we're probably going to be fine with everything once that one piece is kind of taken care of. So I don't know. I think, not speaking for everybody on here, but it seems like it'd be tough for everybody to kind of close with that open item. But I think, at least in my eyes, you've got the support of me for what's shown on the site right now. And now it's just kind of pending that one piece.
Yeah. Well, either way, once we go into the street, I think it's a whole different filing anyways, because now we are on a whole different property and a different owner and a different legal ad with a whole different list of abutters. So either way, if we get into work beyond the road, beyond the property and in Crawford Street, I think it's a whole nother filing.
So I can see this both ways. I guess, I mean, what I'm trying to think out, how does it benefit you if we say, okay, you can have your order of conditions, but it's contingent upon you making the DPW director completely happy in his wildest dreams with this, right? Because then that's the only way I can see us approving this. And then you've still got to satisfy him. And if you don't, you're back.
Yeah, we're just they're really up against it. So the thought was maybe this would help kind of push things along.
Against what? If there's something else
they
going
have
on,
the mortgage. Mr. Bandy could probably speak to it, but I believe the mortgage terms change in June, so they're trying to get permits in hand, and hopefully this would kind of speed up the driveway permit process. But
Yeah, Todd, like you said, even we're like good with even conditional approval as well, saying like once we get the driveway, even that also works. But without any permit, it's like hard to even for the bank as well. So at least like if we get the initial permit with conditions saying like driveway should be like, I mean, Scott needs to be like okay with that. Even that works.
Okay, so you have a mortgage now that you're refinancing, or that's the term's coming to an end and you're trying to change to something else? What's
Yeah,
going on?
actually, this loan is almost like an year and a half, I guess. And earlier, like how the loan is set up is like how much ever amount we utilize, we are like paying interest for that. So
Okay.
from June onwards, we'll be like billed for the complete loan amount which we are like taking. So that's like a lot.
All right, and so doing this, even if it's conditional, helps you with your finance.
Yes, yeah. At least the banks get satisfied saying like we are like working on something and something is like in progress. Because
Okay.
from like past like 1.5 years, we were like saying like we are like working with the town and it's like the process like still moving like to and fro. So at least if we show this permit, they'll be like satisfied on their end.
Yeah. See, now that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah, that piece seems reasonable to me too, Todd.
I mean, if in there, if you need to show a lender that you've made progress in order to keep this thing from getting worse, and then we can condition the permit on all the whatever else needs to happen. And I agree that, you know, we're pretty much done. But if holding this up harms you for no appreciable benefit to the town, then I think we can close it. For me.
Yep. Vinny, what about that as an approach?
Yes, if that's something you guys are comfortable with, I can condition it to have that the no work shall begin until the street opening permit is issued. And another special condition that any changes to what is proposed or what has been approved will have to be refiled with the Conservation Commission for consideration of a new permit or some wording like that.
And then we would have a final approval after that point. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I can't see us, according to what we have, what the work is proposed on the lot is okay, but that's not all the work that's going to occur. So that we need to see all the work that's going to occur to reasonably issue the land disturbance permit. So we can give them this permit for their banking reasons or whatever it might be, but they have to know that they're going to have to refile with the Conservation Commission for whatever they get for conditions or design for work in Crawford Street.
And if for some reason there is no work in Crawford Street, I mean, that's an option, maybe less than 1%, but if that's the case, then we just go.
That's true. Yeah. If the DPW says I'm okay with the way it is now, then you would be good to go.
So let's revisit the plan just one quick time here from last month. I think that for the most part, we were all pleased with the progress that was made. I just want to make sure that there's a 12% slope in the driveway here. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. I forget off the top of my head. It's been a while.
And all of the water running off the site with your plan is actually less than what's running off the site now?
Correct. We've mitigated peak rate discharge.
Okay. And you're in agreement with that, Vinny?
He put his PE stamp on it, so he's taking liability.
Okay. Okay. All right. Then
So,
again,
sorry, Greg, just a question.
No, go ahead,
Maybe I'm confused. It's undisturbed and forested now.
Mhm.
You're telling me that there's less water when you disturb it than what's going on now?
Yeah, the mitigation mostly is through the infiltration chambers. And then we get some small credit, but not much, but most of it is the infiltration chambers. And with HydroCAD, the calculations, it's also about the timing of when the water kind of hits, because you're basically attenuating that peak rate. So if you can spread out when everything hits, it's a flatter curve instead of a steep curve.
But some water's discharging from the driveway onto the street.
Yes.
And
And
and there's
currently,
more and there's more water discharging now on
currently that's
Crawford?
the case. Yeah, currently that's the case here.
Here where?
A lot of it's actually carried down this existing driveway currently.
Yeah, but that's not on your parcel.
Right, but the design point is the street in this analysis.
So you're comparing what's occurring on a different parcel to what's occurring on your parcel?
No, it's the same area, both the pre and the post. The same areas are being looked at. And it's very steep with, the pre-existing condition is very steep with glacial till soil. So there is a high runoff coefficient even in the pre-development. And then in the post-development, some of it's flat and lawn area, and the roof gets mitigated through the infiltration chambers. And that's really the design concept.
And remind me the two waivers you want?
The waiver request is here. Can you read?
Yep.
It's for development on a site that's 15% or greater, and excavation below seasonal high groundwater.
Well, I mean, I think I made my concerns at the last meeting about, these restrictions are in place for a reason, so waiving them, I don't agree with, so.
Okay. Any more questions from the commissioner comments? Hey, Vinny?
Yep.
Based on Dan's concern here, and I guess also maybe a question also for Justin. Are these waivers unusual, or are the numbers, is it something that's fairly common?
I think it's somewhat unusual. It's not common, but we're at the point now where a lot of the easy lands, the nice, easy to develop lands are taken, and this was marginal land to start with. So what they're trying to do is put in something that is on a steep slope, and to get there from the roadway, they're going to have to cut into this area. So it looks like a problem ready to happen. But if the engineer says that it's going to work, then as a PE, that's Justin knows the idea. Justin looked at it, thinks it's okay. Mark signed off on it, said it's okay. So we have to assume that there's some numbers to back it up. If I can put a condition in there that if there's increased runoff, that they have to come in with a revised plan, stop work, and come in with a revised design to stop the impacts. Because I think what Mark said was he analyzed it based on the full frontage. So you got 200 feet worth of frontage where flow is going out onto the street, and now it's all coming out at the driveway. I think that would probably be an impact, but that's not what the engineering calculations say. They kind of say if you meet that precondition, that pre-design flow, then you have to, you're okay. It's just pre and post. It's not funneling it all to one location.
We've had that situation prior to the place. We had to put a cease and desist in on steep driveways that weren't, the flow was not controlled. So
I can speak to that briefly if you'd like. So in this design, the bulk of the water is going to hit the driveway from the high side of the hill, which is the west side of the site here.
Yep.
And we're putting as much water possible as we can into this level spreader. So it will be, the flow will be spread across a large area and then go down an armored riprap slope. Only the lower half of the driveway will have a more defined discharge point. But the upper half of the driveway should catch most of the water from the site. Or will catch most of the water from the site, I should say.
okay. All right. Any more questions from the commission? Let me see if we have any public comment. I don't see any hands up. All right, so the proposal in front of us here is to close the hearing, vote on issuing a land disturbance stormwater management conditional permit, conditional based on the outcome of discussions with DPW on water into the street. And if that requires a redesign, then a redesign happens. And we're going to put a requirement on here, or a condition, as Vinny mentioned, the last condition, that if the water flow is different than what is expected, that we will issue a cease and desist until such problem is resolved. Does that pretty much capture it?
Yeah, Greg, I just want to weigh in just real quick
Yeah,
on those two
sure.
waivers. I mean, we've got, 15% slopes, is steep. I mean, it's not unmanageable, but I think the biggest thing and kind of the most important piece of this and where we've gotten into trouble before is during the construction phase of these projects. So I think the key piece is managing things during construction. You'll recall the last one that we had almost same design as this one, except had less stormwater controls than this one has in it. And we had a wetland sitting right at the bottom of that driveway. So that one, we did have a lot of washout during construction, but they didn't armor things, quite the way that this plan is showing them. And then also we have, some temporary sediment areas and kind of temporary stockpile areas that are all shown on the plan. I mean, the most important thing I think with this one is going to be that construction phase and making sure that, things are basically, maintained appropriately and stay in place here. And then I'd say the groundwater one, I could see with, if you've got some really tight soils, that aren't great to begin with, like the engineer mentioned, how there is a pretty high existing runoff, that probably means groundwater is going to be relatively high on the site too. And I think what it noted was that the basement is going to be within a couple feet of the groundwater. So I think there it's just going to be really important to have a foundation drain or something like that, around the basement area to make sure that groundwater, doesn't eventually make its way through the foundation wall or anything and into there. So I mean, it's, I would just kind of say that they're not typical. We don't see these too often. We don't see these waivers too much, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think that they're concerns like, if we're allowing work within a wetland or, really in close proximity to a wetland, things like that we focus on quite a bit. I know there's a lot of steep slopes around town that have developments going on already. Some of them predated us having stormwater bylaws put in place, but I think that the reason for us having this stormwater bylaw is really, I see it mostly to focus on construction phase stormwater, making sure that things are controlled during construction.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Justin.
And I just flipped to the construction phase plan so you can see it.
Is that
Where
what's
you
up
can see
there,
we have
Mark?
Yeah, yeah, we've since going through the process, we've come up with a construction period erosion control plan. And that's what I've shown here. So there's a lot of slope stabilization, temporary stockpile areas, temporary sediment basins. So we've done pretty much everything we could, and the commission will have a lot of tools in the toolbox to regulate construction and make sure this gets built correctly. Just based on all of the different stabilization methods that are shown on this plan that they'll be required to conform to.
Vinny, question, how long is the permit good for?
1
3 years?
year from the date of issuance.
1 year?
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, if an agreement cannot be reached between the applicant and DPW, after 12 months, all deals are off.
Right. They can come in for an extension as well, which I
Sure.
would expect them to
Yep.
do, but yeah, then
Yep.
that's when you would consider it. Yep.
All right, good. All right, then let's move ahead here with what apparently we're going to vote on, see how it goes. We're going to motion to close the hearing to start.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Is that Scott? I'm sorry, was that
Justin.
Justin, thank you. Roll call. Tom Beals. Tom with us?
Well, we can see you. We want to give you a thumbs up if you haven't,
Yep.
for audio.
This is Chris here.
I'm going to close the hearing, Tom.
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Yes.
very good, thank you. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Hearing is closed. We are now going to move ahead to vote on issuing a stormwater management land disturbance permit for 311 Crawford Street, conditional on gaining approval from DPW on a water into the street situation off the driveway.
Yep. It's obtaining a street opening permit.
Yep. And another condition.
Refiling with the commission if there are any changes to the proposal that was approved by the land disturbance permit.
Yep.
And then cease and desist of work if there's increased runoff and a requirement for a submittal of a redesign for drainage increases out onto Crawford Street.
Okay. Tom Beals. Did we lose Tom? He's still there.
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
You frozen, Tom? Is it frozen? Tom, yes vote, thumbs up, no vote, thumbs down? Okay, thumbs
Yes,
up.
I'm
Tom.
okay. Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you. Dan Clark,
I vote no.
okay. Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
okay. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, we're moving forward with the plan as outlined.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
we appreciate your time.
Okay, well, good luck and keep Vinny involved and up informed, please.
Yes, we'll do.
Very good, thank you. All right, Mark's gonna stop sharing his screen with us momentarily. And Laurie, I believe, has now joined us. Yes. Ben, do you have any idea where Scott is in this whole thing?
He basically said no, but then there was some background that I heard from Fred when he came in one day. He was saying that they were working on something to come up with the justification on what might be able to be done going. I thought they were going to go north with some kind of a French drain along the street, but it's really not the storms that they're worried about. It's more when we get the freeze thaw timeframes and the water would just be trickling out into Crawford for icing during the winter.
Yeah, I think that's all of our concern. That street's so narrow as it is, right? So just okay.
Laurie said she's trying to get in.
All right. Let me see where she is here.
Yep.
Is she here?
Okay. Can you try to log back in? Or you don't have internet at your house? Do you want us to wait or?
We can move on and just we'll bring her in whenever she gets in here.
Yep. So we'll just go on to the next one. It shouldn't take long, but raise your hand when you get in. Okay, thanks.
I did see her on the list, then she disappeared.
Yes, she apologizes. Her power just went out and it's now coming back on, but it's taken time for her to reboot.
Uh-huh.
So she said, move on to the next one. She'll wait for the next opportunity.
Okay, next one we have here is another continuation, 0 Hudson Street. And I did see Scott Goddard here. Scott, I'm going to bring you in.
Hey there.
I can hear you.
Indeed. All right. Well, yeah, I think the folks at Ecotech made a request to continue the objective for the reason for the continuation. So there was I don't know, 2 months ago, there was a substantial amount of information requested by Vinny, and that is aggressively being worked on. There were test pits done at the site last week. Part of the request, there was a death in the family with Paul, and there's been some delays there. There are revised site plans that have been produced to respond, and there's a work in works for a substantial narrative to try to tackle a lot of the questions that Vinny brought up. So it's not just lingering; it is making substantial progress, but it's needing a little bit more time to get that to you. So a request for continuation was sent in this afternoon by Kate at Ecotech.
Yep, Kate O'Donnell sent one, so I received that. I just wasn't sure what the commission's position was, so I asked to have someone attend, and Scott's graciously here. So I think we could continue it, but it's the commission's decision.
You lose Greg?
It looks like it. Looks like he stepped away, but I'm not sure.
Justin's up. Next man up, right?
Yeah,
Vice chair. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Greg's rebooting.
Oh man. Uh-oh.
He's coming back. Well, I mean, I'd have the motion to continue to our next meeting.
All right.
Second.
All right. Well, roll call vote. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Here comes Greg.
For Tom Beals, yes. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
Greg Young. Well, I vote yes.
Here's Greg. You can see him on the screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna start from the beginning all over here.
Nope.
It sucks.
Okay, we lost Greg again.
Do we need his vote? Do we need to continue? Oh,
No,
As long as Tom can give us a thumbs up.
He voted yes. I think I
Yeah, I
heard
heard
yes.
voted say-
Tom
I heard,
first.
yep, everyone, it's unanimous, I think, so.
We good?
Greg
just
Duvall
need to get-
voted yes
oh,
to
here he is.
continue. How about
Excellent.
yourself?
Excellent, excellent. You know, I shouldn't touch things that I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't do that. That's
Dangerous.
then you get into a dig hole, you dig deeper and deeper and fine. So
So
Okay.
are you in favor of it, Greg?
I am definitely in
Continuing.
favor of that, yes.
Okay, so unanimous.
All right, Scott, you're all set.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Scott.
Right,
Okay.
And Laurie says she's ready.
Okay, I'm gonna try and see if I can bring Laurie in here. We don't know what's gonna happen with this, but let's give it a try. Nope, I don't see Laurie. Yes, I do. I got her. Okay, Laurie, I'm bringing you in. Interesting. Hey, Terry Underwood,
Yes.
I can't bring Laurie in, Laurie Connors. She's got her hand raised, but I don't get the options to make her a panelist.
Okay. Working on my end.
Okay, she
Here she
disappeared.
comes.
Sounds good. Hello, Laurie, you're muted.
Hello, how are you?
Well, I've been better, but I'm fine for now, yes.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. I lost power for a minute and then it booted me out altogether. So
Well.
sorry about that.
No, don't. You have nothing to be sorry for, so.
If
All right.
it's okay with you, I'd like to share my screen.
Sure, yep.
All right. Can you see that okay?
I can.
All right. So let's see. Not seeing the, here we go, slideshow. There we go. So I just have a brief presentation. So of course, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laurie Connors and I'm the planning director here in Northborough. So
Did we freeze?
She did.
Yep.
It's just not our night.
No, tough night.
Do you still see her in your screen?
I just lost her. Yep.
I'm sure it's a good presentation.
Blaming the eclipse for all this.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's it. Yeah, that's of course. That's it.
Or earthquakes, who knows?
Or earthquakes. Remember the Y2K scare back in 2000?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
New Year's Eve. We were at a New Year's Eve party that night and when the clock struck midnight, somebody had gone downstairs and threw the main switch at the house.
Good move.
Nice.
All right. I think we've lost.
Yeah, I don't see her in the attendees or the panelists.
No. So should we just move on?
Yeah, what's the next one on the agenda?
I've got Solitude.
Might be a little bit. Okay, Solitude. Okay.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take too long, I don't think. Maybe move to them.
That's Dominic Maringolo.
Maringolo. Yes, Dominic
Okay.
Maringolo.
Dominic, I'm going to bring you in as a panelist.
And we still have Scott on it. I'm not sure if he's involved in this. I don't think he's involved in this one, so you may want to slide him off to be a attendee.
Yes. Dominic. Are you muted? I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Yep, you're definitely muted. Yep. Now you should be good.
How about now?
Now it's good.
Okay, I just turned it on and off and it was fine.
There you go. Hard reboot works every
Thank
time.
God. Thought I was going to be another victim of the solar eclipse
Well,
tonight.
as you can see, it's been a tough night for us.
Yeah. Well, I'll get going here before something else happens. But again, my name is Dominic Maringolo. I'm a project manager, environmental engineer with Solitude Lake Management. We've been hired by the town to conduct the aquatic management work on Solomon Pond. On Bartlett Pond this year. We're also part of that contract this year, was filing a new notice of intent. So here we are. So as you all know, I'm sure you all know Bartlett Pond very well. I've had the opportunity to work out there for a number of years. I've been with Solitude now for 29 years. The Bartlett Pond's obviously a beautiful water resource for the town. Unfortunately, we have been battling various non-native species on this pond for many years, including milfoil, both variable Eurasian water milfoil, also fanwort. So the terrible 3 plants that have been in there, as well as some occasional water chestnut, which is another very highly invasive plant. The program over the years has involved treatment with aquatic herbicides, and this approach has worked very well. Unfortunately, given the shallow, nutrient-rich conditions of the pond, there is a lot of nutrients and very good suitable substrate for these plants to grow. And as most of you probably know, once you get invasive species at this level, it's basically impossible to eradicate them. So we've been fairly successful over the years doing kind of a whole lake treatment with the fluoridone herbicide, which has provided 3 to 5 years of good control, good control early, some regrowth following up later. So we are planning to continue with a whole pond fluoridone herbicide. And we do this time around with the contract, do have some options for doing some follow-up treatments in year 2 and 3. So that would be 2025 and 26 with a couple of other products that are more suitable for spot treatment of regrowth. So I think we can kind of extend the period of time that we can maintain desirable conditions of low invasive plant growth. Fortunately, with the periodic management that we've done on the invasives, there are still a good amount of native species to be able to support fish and wildlife habitat when we do control the invasive species. So that's good. We'd like to continue to foster that. So essentially, for the herbicides that Solitude uses are all registered aquatic herbicides for use in lakes and ponds. They've gone through the registration process at the federal level with the EPA, also gone through the very rigorous state registration process, which involves both DEP as well as the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. They all do their own reviews of these products and approve them to be used in lakes and ponds here in the Commonwealth. And we've had a lot of success with fluoridone specifically since the late 1980s. It's a very effective herbicide on both milfoil and fanwort. So the plan would be for this summer to do a whole pond treatment with fluoridone, and then we've added a few other products to the notice of intent this time around. One of them is the diquat herbicide, one is Procelacor, and one is flumioxazin. So those herbicides are more fast acting. Some of them are, Procelicor is systemic, Diquat and flumioxazin are not, so they're not our first choice for kind of restoring the pond, but they can be used pretty effectively on regrowth. So those would be planned to be used in year 2 and 3 as needed. And as typical, our program includes pre and post treatment monitoring as well as testing of the herbicide levels in the pond during the treatment process. You know, as you know, we've done this treatment periodically. Haven't really observed any adverse effects on any of the fish and wildlife. Again, the native species tend to flourish for a period of time once the invasive species are gone. So that continues to be the plan. A couple other kind of housekeeping items. You know, Solitude staff are licensed to use these products by the state. We also obtain a license to apply chemicals from the Mass DEP Office of Watershed Management, which lists the specific products, the dose rates, the amounts. So essentially, and I think this is a very important project to continue to maintain Bartlett Ponds as a a viable resource, both for recreation, but also more importantly for fish and wildlife. You know, left unmanaged, I can't. I would hazard a guess what the pond would probably look like right now if we hadn't periodically been managing the invasive species. I'm sure it would be certainly probably near 100% cover, with very dense vegetation, and certainly on its way to becoming a more swamp-like water body. So just one more quick thing with the fluridone herbicide. It is a slow-acting herbicide. So this initial year of management, we will be doing several actual applications of the product. Because it is slow acting, requires 45 to 60 day plus contact time, and the herbicide does degrade naturally through photodegradation. We do periodically have to come in with booster applications just to keep that target concentration up where we'd like to see it to control the fanwort and the milfoil. But yeah, in a lot of respects, this is a very similar program that's been successful in the past, and I am kind of heartened to see that we do have some plans to, rather than let it go for 3 or 5 years and do a whole lake sonar treatment again. I think we do have some options available for us this year to do some spot treatments in year 2 and 3 and beyond that I think will kind of maintain overall better conditions from year to year, and hopefully definitely spread out the time between when we'd have to do kind of whole pond treatments. So I think overall this is a good step in the evolution of this program. So
Great.
So I'd be very happy to either go into more detail about any part of the program or answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
I just have one question here for me, which is what's your timeline? When would you want to start putting the first application down?
Yeah, so we actually have plans to start the treatment at the very beginning of May, actually. So it'd be like the kind of last week, April, first week in May. We'd like to get in with the first application. We've found in our experience, the earlier we can get at those plants as they're starting to kind of regrow for the season, the herbicides work much better there. So, and less biomass to die off too.
Okay. Questions from the commission? Comments? No, Vinny, you had a question, I think, Vinny, about the landing area, right?
Yeah, you said you're going to be having some equipment out there. How are you going to get out there? Where's your access? Where are you going to be mixing chemicals if you are?
Yep. So we'll be using an airboat for this treatment. So we'll be launching it at the boat ramp. All the chemical mixing, herbicide mixing is done on the boat, on the water, so that there's no mixing on land or anything like that. So we do have spill kits in all of our trucks, just in the unforeseen event that there would be some kind of spill as we're transferring material from the trucks to the boat. But all kind of the treatment area, the volumes of water that we're treating, all the required concentrate of the herbicides, all kind of pre-figured out before we get on site. So it's all kind of, we launch the airboat, we transfer the containers onto the boat, and all the mixing is done on the boat. So we bring in water into our tank from the pond, and we use that to create the mix of the product, and then that mix is kind of systematically and evenly applied from subsurface, a subsurface boom with drop hoses on the stern of the boat, so everything gets applied under the water. There's no spray that would be kind of subject to drift or anything like that. So
Good. Any more questions, Commissioner? Anyone? Well, nodding heads.
There will be some posters put up as we have in the past around the pond. I forgot to mention that. There's no restrictions on the label for folks to do kind of boating or fishing or anything like that. The only real water use restriction with this particular product is really irrigation. So the pond will be posted for no use of irrigation following the treatment.
For how long?
It's usually 30 days after each application, but since we'll be doing multiple applications, we typically will just go ahead and post 90-day irrigation restriction right on that first day of treatment, so that it's kind of upfront that it'll be unusable for irrigation for 90 days. That makes sense. It's a herbicide.
Right.
So if people use the water to spray their plants, so I think, turf and stuff like that, grass is typically pretty resilient to sonar, but some of the flowers and vegetables and stuff like that probably would be more susceptible. So that's why we do that restriction, and we've done that same restriction in past treatments, and I'm not aware that there's been any kind of problem with doing that before. So,
hey, Vinny, would we want to think about putting up some sort of notice on the town website when the treatment takes place?
Yeah, no, that sounds great. We can do that.
Because folks may not all see the signs, but at least they might see that in the website or that. Okay. Question here is that we don't have a DEP number for this one yet, and they want to start going late April, early May. So we may have a conflict there unless we decide that we can go ahead and move ahead by issuing an approval contingent on DEP information coming in and being non-controversial. Thoughts on that? Or would we just wait till May?
It's not controversial to me.
I'm with me too.
Okay with that approach?
Yep, I can add a condition for a condition that that we address all concerns raised by DEP.
Okay. All right. Let's move ahead and close the hearing on Bartlett Pond treatment.
Any public, should we take public comment on this
We
one?
should take public comments. Let's take a look.
I don't see any hands, but
Oh, well, we've got that Laurie Connors hanging around again. We'll have to deal with that one later. So, okay. All right. No, looks like we're good. No hands up.
make a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Just Dufresne.
Yes.
Don Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now we're looking to issue an order of conditions for Bartlett Pond treatment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Justin. Roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. So Dominic, we're good to go unless DEP comes back with something that requires you to not go until you come back here.
great. I can reach out to DEP, and I'm sure Vince would probably like to too, but we'll coordinate, make sure we have those comments back before we get started.
Good
I
idea.
appreciate your time.
Good,
Yeah.
thank you. Good
Yeah,
luck.
thank you, Dominic.
Okay. We are going to bring Laurie back in. Welcome.
It's an interesting night, but my lights haven't flashed for a few minutes, so I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'm very sorry for the
No,
technical.
no, it's all right. It is the eclipse, as someone said earlier. So we're dealing with all that energy.
So once again, I will share my screen.
Hey,
All right, so just a few facts about 432 Whitney Street. The parcel of land is 23.77 acres. It is an undeveloped parcel. It's currently zoned for industrial district. It's a portion of the parcel is also located within the groundwater protection overlay district area 3. The parcel is served by public water. Public sewer isn't far away. It's approximately 1,000 linear feet from the site. It's located to the east. There are some environmental limitations to the site. For example, there are some wetlands. There is a stream as well as some steep slopes. As I mentioned, it is currently enrolled in the Chapter 61A program. So the property owner is interested in withdrawing the property from that designation and selling it. So there we go. So some interesting information about this parcel is in particular its location. The aqueduct is located just to the west of this property. The white line in between the parcel is actually a railroad. It's a freight railroad line that is active. This is the parcel shown in red. And you see to the south is some permanently protected open space. This land is owned by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. And then over the town line, so this is the town line, the town of Berlin, town of Northborough. So just over the line, there is also some permanently protected open space. Conservation restriction that is held by the Berlin Conservation Commission. So this sale of property is the person who is interested in purchasing the property has offered $1.7 million. So there is a purchase and sale agreement. It's Howland Development Corporation. They have alerted the town that they intend to construct an industrial building of between 40,000 and 60,000 square feet. And they're interested in converting the parcel to commercial, industrial, warehouse, or distribution purposes. One of the reasons why they're particularly interested in this parcel is because of the potential to do a railroad spur. So once again, I had mentioned that this project is enrolled in the chapter program. So that gives us 120 days to act on the potential acquisition. The town administrator was able to negotiate an extension in that period of time. And so we have until the middle of May to either act on our right or not act. So there is an article
So close.
Uh-oh.
We just voted.
We could do that, Vinny. Nope, there, she's trying to come back. Hey, Todd, I've got a question here while we're waiting for Laura to show up. So the sale price is 1.7, right?
Mhm.
And doesn't the owner owe the town $100 and some thousand for his 61A benefits he got to pay back?
So if there is a rollback tax, there's can be a change of use tax and there can be a rollback tax, but those would be collected at the closing. So if we were to buy it, basically the purchase price would be reduced by whatever the tax amount would be.
Okay, that was my question, is that we could why just not reduce the tax, you know, the sale price to cover that. So, okay. I don't see Laurie. She's dropped off.
No.
Let's just go ahead and vote it, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. This is not a hearing. You have to close. This is a discussion item here. So we're looking to approve the allocation of $664,073 from the Conservation Fund for the purchase of 432 Whitney Street.
So I would make that motion, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess we've applied for a grant from the Commonwealth and we're gonna get some money back, like in the tune of like in the neighborhood of $200,000. And so so what the motion should be clear is that if we get that money, it goes back into the Conservation Fund and not the general fund.
Why don't you make that motion then? It sounded very good.
So moved.
Justin's got a question. Yes.
Well, do we need public comment on this one before we vote it, or since it's not a hearing?
There's a hand up here.
Okay.
So Ginny Lemmerman. Ginny, I'm bringing you in. Hello, Ginny. Hello? Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I just have a question. I was curious if Lori slides, if the Conservation Commission sees any downside to this at all. So that first slide was all about here's all the good reasons to do it.
Well, I'll speak for myself. Number one, I've walked the site over the last 10 or 12 years, whatever, probably half a dozen times. Been involved in it since day one. I think this is a terrific use for the monies involved, and it will remove a significant blemish from Northborough.
The blemish being the owner?
I would not comment that way. No.
Here's the question I have is, I'm not familiar with all the details, but I heard that when the town, different people from committee were going to look at the property, the landowner showed up with the police and didn't let you look at the property. Were any of you there? Like, what happened?
I think Vinny was there.
Yes. Yes, I was there and there was a miscommunication. It was an group visit. We had contacted the town council and town council contacted an attorney to let them know we're on it. According to the, I guess it's the process for this 61A, we're allowed to look at the property. We just need to give the owner notice. And our town council tried to give the owner notice, but he sent it to the wrong lawyer. And so the owner never knew who was on the property. There were 7 or 8 cars parked on his property. So he was rightly upset. He didn't know who was out there. And so he called the police because that's what he should have done. And we were notified when we were out walking way down in the south end, and we all came back in. And that was the end of it.
Well, that makes me feel better. I was thinking it's a huge red flag if a owner trying to sell a property doesn't let us look at it, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing that I have walked the property in the past is the picture of it on the map doesn't show that there is an old road that goes parallel to the aqueduct down to the bottom, the south end of the property. And so knowing this owner, and because I think we had like a lawsuit with him and he's dumped on his property across the street, is it could have been this property that we're thinking of buying could have been had trucks go down that road, kind of back up and then dump down into the well of the property. There's like a steep kind of cliffish into the swamp, and we wouldn't know about it. So I'm wondering, have we done any, is it up to the Conservation Commission to do the environmental check on what's in those wetlands? Because we don't want to buy a property becomes a Superfund site. I'd rather have this guy clean it up if he was the cause of it.
Yeah, if you want, I've seen tests were done, some soil tests were commissioned by the town, and I'm not sure who. I think Laurie was coordinating that, but they all came back clean, which was very good news. That access road was actually kind of composted material that was brought in there, so it's not really an access way for trucks that could easily pass. They would get stuck in there and not get any farther. So I'm not worried about contamination from like dumping way out and back in the recent past. So I didn't see any indication of dumping when I was out there walking. I've been up there twice, walked the uplands and some of the wetlands, once with the owner. He's very forthcoming with information and allowed me access anywhere. I said, where do you want to go? Let's walk. And walked and talked, and I didn't see any issue or any conditions that warranted concern.
Okay. The last thing is I did hear that the environmental tests that were done were very just the light stuff, according to Gene Cahill, who's an environmental scientist who went to the town hall with him and looked at the results of them. And so she had said it would be nice to know that no tests were taken down in the watershed area. So anyway, so I just thought it makes sense to know if Lori had anything on that PowerPoint about, here's the things that are kind of concerning. I'm an open space person myself, but those are the things I had questions about. Thank you very much, Vinny, for answering them.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And actually, Laurie is now on the phone. She's going the easy way, so she's got her hand raised.
Is that Laurie there? Okay.
I think
so. I'm done, so you can drop me off. Thanks for taking my questions, Greg.
Okay. Thank you, Ginny. Is that number Ginny or Laurie?
The phone number is Laurie. She texted me and said she's on the phone with her hand raised.
Okay, Laurie, can you hear us now? Can you talk? You should be all set.
How do you unmute?
What
when
is
you're
it,
on the
Greg, to
phone?
unmute? It's like star something, right? Star. I think you usually say it in the opening.
Star 9.
Star 9, maybe.
I should have that memorized by now, shouldn't I? It's only been about 50 times I read it. Star 9. Laurie, can you hear us? I've got a very strange symbol there. Hey, Terry, need your help once again.
Okay, I see this.
That's a very strange, see that little symbol next to the hand? It's like a leaf or something?
The message I have is ask to unmute.
Okay, Laurie, could you unmute?
Maybe we go to the vote again.
Here we go. On Ginny's last point there, I do recall, I think it was maybe even Laurie saying that there's going to be some more testing done prior to the actual execution.
Oh, that would be great, and especially if they can get into that area where they didn't test at all.
That was my understanding, but I'd rather have that answered by Laurie if you can get her. Laurie, can you hear us?
This is Terry, and apparently it's *6 to unmute.
It says she's pressing *6.
Hello?
Hello?
There we
Can
go.
anybody hear me?
Yes,
you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you.
Oh, thank God. I think I pressed *6 like 10 times, but it wasn't working.
Hey, Laurie, just for the next 5 minutes, don't touch anything. You're good. You're good.
Well, I was listening to the conversation, and so the testing was done primarily in the location of disturbance. So it concentrated along where that roadway is and along the railroad tracks, because that is where the areas were disturbed. So we couldn't see any evidence of any sort of like dumping into the wetlands or disturbance into the wetlands. So we didn't do any environmental testing in that location. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Ginny,
Was there?
Would you like me to continue with the presentation at this time? It's obviously I'm on the phone, so I'm not
Nope.
able to share the PowerPoint slides because we
I don't
lost
think
power.
I don't think we need to. We can just go ahead
Okay.
and vote this and move on.
Okay, yes. So of course, what we're interested in having you folks approve is the amount of $664,073 from the Conservation Fund. So the price tag for this acquisition is $1.7 million. So the balance of the money we propose to come from two different buckets. So both of those buckets are with the Community Preservation Act funds. So $218,000 and change would come from new revenue, and $817,000 and change would come from unreserved funds. So the proposal is to essentially pay cash for this acquisition, so there wouldn't be any borrowing whatsoever. And one thing that I wanted you to be aware of is we did receive word from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation that they are very much interested in the town acquiring this property, and they're willing to pony up $200,000 to help us with that acquisition. And they're also interested in holding the conservation restriction for us free of charge.
Great. Good. Good deal.
So that's good news. So the reason why we're going forward with the full amount of the 1.7 million is when they told us that they were going to share that money, they did put the caveat as, you know, if budget allows. So that made us a little bit nervous that there may be a slight chance that they would not follow through with the money. So because we have to act on this in the middle of May is the deadline, we decided that it would be best to be conservative with the acquisition and plan on paying for the money up front and getting reimbursed for that $200,000 should it materialize.
Great. Good. Laurie, will that $200,000 come back into the conservation fund for future use?
Yeah, you know, it hasn't been defined. I tried to pin down the town administrator, on where that $200,000 would go, whether it would go back to the conservation fund or whether it would go to the community preservation funds. And he didn't commit one way or the other. So I can't tell you definitively that that's the case, but, you know, certainly I would understand if you would prefer it to come back to you, because certainly the Department of Conservation and Recreation would be ponying up the $200,000 for open space purposes. So
Right. And that's it. It was historically held in the conservation fund just for that purpose. That if something came along from the open space side, we could react quickly to move forward with it. So
yes, I totally understand. And that's one of the fantastic things about this fund, because it does enable us with a Chapter 61 issue to act quicker than we otherwise can. We were lucky that the turnaround time fell close to annual town meeting, because typically that's not the case. So we were fortunate in this circumstance.
super. Okay. Any questions from the commission? No commission. Then we're going to go ahead and vote this. All we do is a vote to allocate $664,073 from the Conservation Fund for the purchase of 432 Whitney Street.
With the money coming back.
With the money coming, let's go ahead, Todd.
With the 200 coming back.
With the $200,000 coming back, do we want to say where it goes, or is that something that you'll take care of?
My motion was that it comes back to the Conservation Fund.
Okay. Yep, I agree. Let's do it then. We're voting yes or no. Tom Beals.
Do we have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Dan Clark. Roll call vote. Tom Beals. Yes. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. Tom, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Tom says yes. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, done. Thank you,
Thank
Laurie.
you very much. And I appreciate your patience through all of my technical difficulties.
You saw what I did tonight, so you're fine. You're fine. Thank you, Laurie.
I hope you all have a good night.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Vinny, while we're here, why don't we just deal with a second here before we get to the last item here? Let's just talk about well, let me ask you, do you want to go ahead and talk about the appraisal fee?
Yes, yeah, there's a quick presentation is that we're trying to keep what's it called? Not secrecy, but privacy standards. So I'm not saying where the property is, but there's a property that is on the Open Space and Open Space Commission's list of properties that they've been interested in. It is potentially available, and they would like to do an appraisal of it. They've talked to the property owners, and they're interested in hearing their options. So the next step is to get an appraisal. The problem is that with this 432 Whitney Street acquisition, there's no money in the account for the fees. Typically, when we do this evaluation, all the money's been used up for 432 until we get into the next fiscal year. So what we have been asked by the Open Space Committee is to approve an allocation of up to $6,000, and I haven't gotten the actual proposals yet from appraisers, but that $6,000 should cover it. I expect it to be less than $5,000, but we were asking for an allocation to pay for an appraisal of the property, the potential open space acquisition.
And where's that money coming from?
That comes from the Conservation Fund.
So what's our number in there now? How much do we have?
We have $60,000 or thereabouts, 61,000 or so available in the, not the non-dedicated portion. That's the interest that's been added on over the years for the other stuff. So that's where funding for the forestry operations is going to come from as well. But this has, the forestry operations has a maximum of 50,000, and this is only for 6, and we have 61, I think, or 62 available.
We have some latitude.
We do, and I'm hoping to get some funding from the DCR for some of that forestry work as well.
Okay. Any questions from the commission on the appraisal?
I'm real excited about this. I mean, the CPA has a process for doing this, for paying for admin things, and they've burned through it. And this money is supposed to be for actual hard asset things, and we're kind of going pretty fast, and we're going to spend $5,000 on property $6,000 on property we don't know about, and we don't know whether there's going to be any potential to actually get it. I don't know.
We know.
I'm convinced for it, but I don't. It's a little
right.
out of the blue.
We know what the property is. It's not like it's a secret from the Open Space Committee or from myself. We know the property, but the owners have asked for a little privacy. So if once we move forward, then we would let it go. But it's a property that has been of interest to the Open Space Committee. It's been on their lists for I think 10 years, but at least the 2 that I've been on, it's been on for a while.
Is Dan our member of the Open Space Committee?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just tell me it's okay, Dan, and I'll vote for it.
Yeah, I support it. I mean, it's sort of the first step in land acquisition is figuring out what the property's worth. So I know it sounds, like we're keeping things from everybody, but I think in this
It's not
case,
even that. It's the fact that we have almost no money anymore in any of the accounts.
yeah, I mean,
but if you're in, I'm in. That's all.
I support it. I think it's a good parcel. If it works out, I think it'll be a good acquisition. But I think to get there, we have to do this first step now and do an appraisal on it. So.
Any other questions? Okay. Don't see any hands up. So we are looking to vote to authorize expenditure not to exceed $6,000 for the appraisal of property X.
That is correct.
So moved.
Was there a second?
Second.
Second by Dan. Roll call. Tom Beals. Tom, you're up. Can't hear you.
You're muted, Tom.
You're muted, Tom? Still muted? Can you get
Pressed
thumbs down?
You pressed it twice instead of once. There you go.
I'm having trouble. I can hear a thing.
Okay, we can hear you garbled.
Let me know what I'm.
Do you want to vote or do you want to abstain?
Money's for the evaluation of the property. Right.
I'm not sure I got the whole question.
We're voting for the appraisal dollar amount, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes vote. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Yes.
Justin Dufrain,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Last item we have here, I believe, last.
Yeah, last hearing.
289 Lyman Street, Town of Westboro. I know there's been somebody hanging on here for a while. Craig, you believe he's the engineer, right? Greg, I'm bringing you in as a panelist.
Yes, he is. And Ginny's still there. It's nice to have her, but
Let me see. Ginny is still there. Ginny, I'm putting you back to an attendee. All right.
Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
We can hear us and see you.
Okay, so I'm Mike Rosati. I work for Marchand Associates along with Craig. Craig's our PE.
Thanks for
And-
hanging in, guys. Appreciate it.
No problem. We're here tonight to present a proposal on behalf of the Westboro DPW. It concerns, we're looking for an order of conditions to upgrade a portion of the existing stormwater system in Lyman Street, which is just on the Westboro side of the town line between Northborough and Westboro. The work proposed is basically buffer zone work. We're not proposing to alter any resource area. We're respecting all your setbacks regarding no build and no disturb with the project. So if I could just kind of walk you guys through where we are now, and then I can show you what the proposal is if you're not familiar with it. There is 5 catch basins along Lyman Street, and Northborough is north. On the catch basins located on the west side of Lyman Street.
excuse me, do you want me to share my screen and pull the plan up, or do you have the plan there?
Can we pull this plan up, Craig?
Yeah,
This is
we
not
can
the
share an
proposal.
art if it's easier too.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that way
matter.
it's easier to point, so you know what
Sure.
you're talking about.
And share. Number 2. Okay, can everybody see the existing conditions plan, or this is labeled as a demolition plan?
Pin down. It's
I
not-
can see the demolition plan C.
We don't have it. That's
Oh,
not it.
you want the others, our plans?
Sorry, we got the wrong plan. No, we're looking for sheet number 1 or whatever. That's right there. That's it. Is it? No, that's not it. That's it. Okay, so Craig is pointing to the old power plant that used to be on the property for DCAM on the opposite side of Lyman Street.
Yep.
Okay, so the catch basins are located on the Chauncey Lake side of the road, and they've come from the Northborough line and they go up all the way up the street. And I think the last catch basin is up there, Craig. You can basically see it there. So this is an existing conditions plan that was prepared for the Chauncey Lake development, and it shows the power plant and some improvements that were removed from the DCAM property just recently. So currently, right now, the major, well, in the past and currently now, the major contributor to these 5 catch basins is the development that's on the west side of Lyman Street, Chauncey Lake. That development got approved a few years ago from the town of Westboro, and was designed to meet stormwater standards, which they got approval for. And in that proposal, they were required to construct detention basins along Lyman Street to knock the peaks down to meet stormwater standards. So prior to that happening, basically the system that exists in Lyman Street took the burden of all the old Westboro Hospital site campus that was flowing in this direction. And quite often that system, or the system that currently exists in Lyman Street, would reach capacity. and water would then discharge out of the catch basins wherever it could, and eventually make it to the resource area in Northborough behind where we were showing the power plant. So it was the town asked us to design a system that would be able to take the flows for the 100-year storm from this area directly to the resource area, instead of having some storm events that would allow water to flow over ground. So that's what we did. So we can go to our proposal now. Can you just jump back for a minute, Craig? So in this system that we have with the 5 catch basins, there are currently 2 point source discharges going to the resource area in Northborough. One Craig has showing on the right side of the old power plant location, and the other is on the left. So with this proposal, the way we're proposing, you can go back to the other. I'm proposing to collect all the water from the catch basins with this blue line, but with this blue drain line that's running on the opposite side of Lyman Street, going from up there, all the way down to this area here, and then out towards the resource area. The point source that's to the right would be disconnected from the town system, and that would basically just be whatever flowed in from the DCAM property into the system put towards the wetland. The line to the left would be abandoned, and this new line put in. So this new line would discharge to a riprap apron that's located in the buffer zone, and is outside the 35-foot from the isolated wetland to the right, and well outside the 35 feet from the main wetland, which is straight on the upside of the sheet there, right up there. You see the wetland up there, Greg?
Yep.
Yeah. So we think that with this with the upgrade, well, we know with the upgrade that this will not only provide adequate conveyance of the water that gets to Lyman Street in the future, but it will also provide enhanced water quality for the water entering the wetland, and also minimize flooding in the Lyman Street area. And although we don't have a file number at this point, we were hoping that we could receive an order of conditions to do this.
What improves the water quality?
So we have designed this to meet stormwater standards with the TSS removal, and also I provided in the notice of intent calculations from. Well, I understand that your regulations require an Atlas 14 rainfall. The stormwater basin in Westboro did not require that standard. So what I ended up doing was rerouting the pond the way it's proposed through the rainfall that you require, and then running sizing the pipes accordingly, so that you could see that we were taking, there won't be any flooding generated by the flow from Chauncey Lake.
Okay. All right. Questions from the commission? Comments, concerns? Vinny, how about you?
Yeah, you had a good question there, Greg. Your question about water quality treatment. They're actually proposing a stormwater treatment unit in one of the right there. That's going to be treating for total suspended solids that in an area where there was no prior treatment for suspended solids. They're also on the, I guess, to the lower left there, right? They're putting in a deep sump hooded catch basin there as well, instead of just an old catch basin that flows directly out and into the wetland, so that we're getting treatment where we have inlets, and it all is going to be directed back towards the northeast. Can you want to slide the picture up a bit?
Slide the picture. Right there. Oops.
And so they're doing work within the 35-foot no structures, but they're staying out of the 25-foot. So what they're working on is it's all in compliance with our requirements. There's a somewhat large wetland to the right of where they're proposing, and we found that based on a site visit sometime over the winter, and they revised their drawings and relocated things so that it would stay outside those outside the 25-foot no disturb zone. So they've adjusted and accommodated as best they can. I think they've done a pretty good job, and the scope or the sequence of operations is probably I think they said it was a 3-week or a 4-week time period to be in there and in and out. So I think that's going to be helpful as well. So I think they've kind of done what they needed to do and doing the best to protect the resource areas.
Super. Okay, good. Vinny, what do we do about the no DEP file again? We still have this one also is waiting for a file from them. Number.
Yeah, this one, the other one, I thought it would be okay, or suggested that it was okay because the town, I'm doing the construction management of that project, so the town has full control over that.
On Bartlett Pond.
On Bartlett Pond,
Yeah.
which is the one we closed, even though we didn't have the DEP number. So
Right.
I'm just not going to let anything happen until we get that DEP number. This one is a little different because I don't have that control, but it's up to the commission. I know DEP doesn't like, or they say you're not supposed to put or close a hearing without having the DEP file number. So
yeah,
it's kind of taking a chance.
Yeah, that's my inclination is not to close the hearing, but that's my personal opinion here. So,
is there a deadline from the contractors? Is that, I mean, can we?
No, Vincent, if that's the board's, if that's their feeling, we're okay with that. The DCAM is trying to get us to do this work as soon as possible. And, but if that's really how you feel about it, we can wait till we get the file number. And I think, the way conditions are right now with the rain and everything else, I don't think we want to be in there anyway, but.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions from the commission on what's been presented in terms of the design?
My only question is just who gets ownership of it? So this will be owned by the town of Westboro at the end of this?
That's correct. Town of Westboro will own the pipes, and they will be getting an easement from the state for the location that we're showing here. There is a current easement now that runs, if you can see it, Craig, can you show me that?
Yes.
Running down that way, that would be basically abandoned. I don't know if that's ever been on record. We could never find an easement for that, but that came from, I believe, DCAM's records. Anyway, so the town of Westboro would be responsible for the maintenance, the inspections, and the pipe itself if something needs to be repaired.
Okay, thank you.
And that's including the basins that are in Northborough. That one basin is in Northborough, so they would be handling that one as well. And Scott, DPW director, was okay with that.
Good. Any more questions from the commission? I don't see any public. Any hands up? Okay, I propose that we continue this to next month. Hopefully you get a number by then, and it should be a fairly short and sweet discussion on that in the May meeting.
Great.
So we're looking for a motion to continue.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, I think, for Justin. Roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Would I need to follow that up with a letter, extension letter, or is the meeting suffice for
Well,
that?
meeting minutes will cover that, I think. What you might want to do is speak to the Westboro folks and have them put a little pressure on DEP for that number.
Right? Yeah, very good.
So, okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on May 13th.
Excellent.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night. Okay, that concludes, I believe, the agenda. Got a couple of items here. No, the COC for 45 West Main Street, Brad Bigelow. Vinny, that looks good to you?
Yes, this is one 20 years old. It was originally issued in 2004 for a septic system. And I went out there and looked at it with Greg, and it's stable by now. So I think we're all set. I don't really see any issues with it.
Okay. We need a motion to approve certificate of compliance of 45 West Main Street.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dan Clark seconded. Roll call. Tom Beals. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right. What we got left here, Vinny? Forest stewardship.
Nothing's happened. Still haven't heard back from the contractor.
Okay. I mean, at what point, or do we want to, at some point, do we consider moving in a different direction? We didn't have a lot of options the last time. So
Yeah, that's the problem. I figured I would give her a month, and I was going to give her a call. A month comes in, I think it's next week. So I was going to give her a call next week and see how she's doing and what her thoughts are. But like you said, there's not a lot of selection out there.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have on the agenda. What do you have? Vinny?
The only other thing I sent something out with DEP is changing the regulations. I wasn't sure if anyone went through and read that massive information and saw anything that they would like to get make comments to DEP about on the proposed regulations. If you do, let me know and I can kind of submit it through the municipal state conservation agents, conservation professionals organization. They're compiling a list, and that's what I sent. So you could look through that, see what comments have been made, see if you support them, see if you're totally against any of them. But if you have any input, we have until April 30th to provide
It's
comments.
a large spreadsheet you sent out, right? It's not that large, but the spreadsheet.
Yeah, there is a spreadsheet, yes, but there's also links to all the different regulations. They're changing the stormwater handbook.
Stormwater management too. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a
I
lot
think
of
the
proposals.
biggest thing we'll have to kind of keep an eye on, depending on if we have any comments or not. I know my company's been pretty involved. There's a lot of eyes on it right now. We'll just have to kind of cross-check that to our stormwater regulations once that goes through and just make sure we update accordingly.
Yep, that
Yep.
sounds good.
Aren't they talking midsummer?
Yes, that's what they like to
Yeah,
get them
open.
implemented there. Yes.
Okay, that's all I have. Yeah, so next month we're going to have a continuation. 0 Hudson Street is continued. We should, and 289 Lyman Street, we just spoke to them about the town of Westboro. What else is coming in, Vinny, that you know of?
We may get something from DCAM on they're proposing to pave that parking lot that we were just looking at where the old power station was. They'd like to get it paved, but they still have to address the issues that they have with a farming encroachment into the buffer zone.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll get that all addressed and squared away for the next meeting. And I think that was it. We do have the senior center ADA trail is under construction. We're starting to do some clearing out there now. So that one's active. 75 Ridge is very active, as is the Buena Vista project, which one of the buildings is almost done, and 6 Buena Vista is almost done, and I think they're going to be starting 2 pretty soon.
And Swan Drive.
Yeah, 75 Ridge. Yes, Swan Drive.
75
Yes.
Ridge.
Yep.
Okay. All right, good. Anybody else have anything you want to bring up? No? All right. May 13th. Anybody know of any conflicts as of now?
Nope.
Tom?
Yeah, I won't be available.
Okay, you'll be out. You'll be out.
In for September.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I can't hear you till you're breaking up a lot, but I think what you said, if your appointment's right in then, right? Middle of May.
Yeah. Yes. It's gonna be stem cell transplant.
Stem cell replacement. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, good. Good. Tom, thanks for joining. You look great.
May
You
is
look great. So, all right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
best
folks.
of luck with that, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for participating. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Roll call. Tom Beals. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Yes. Tom wants out. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Jess Dufresne.
Yes.
Diane Goldner. Sorry, not here. Todd Helwig.
Yes.
And I vote yes. I know why Diane's not here. She's recovering from her hip operation.
Right.
Yep. Right.
All right,
Good. Well,
folks.
thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thanks for bearing with us. And all of our technical difficulties we had a rough one this week. So,
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
Terry.
Night, everyone.
All right. Have a good one.